Hey, Mel. Bri here. Gotta work from home today because the whole family caught a nasty...
Daddy!
Hey, Mikey! If you're gonna puke, find the popcorn bowl! But my availability is 110%. Coincidentally, so is my fever. Kidding. Mel, I'm so cold but hot. But I'm gonna get you that budget just as soon as... Mikey! Popcorn bowl!
Press 1 to use Instacart and get your family's sick day essentials delivered in as fast as 30 minutes. Press 2 to keep working. Do not press 2. Just use Instacart, Brian.
Why?
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot.
Why?
Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.
Showtime.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Ready. Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, starring Bob Lutz.
What do you want me to be? Here are the choices. This guy. Jeff, how are you? You look good today. Did you trim your eyebrows?
I like.
Jeff Lutz.
It's not really about sense of humor. It's about whether I want to humor you. Do I? Not really.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
I heartily endorse this event or product.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a Tuesday edition, the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH Radio. I'm Bob Lutz. Jeff Lutz is along as my co-host, 869-1240. The phone number, you had a day yesterday with Duda. How'd that go?
It went all right. He was he's kind of low energy again. It seems, I don't know.
What's the deal? Does he not have the energy when he's with you?
That must be it. I don't know what the deal is. But
Well, I've not noticed
shows
that.
up and
I've not noticed that when we're together.
really goes through the motions and kind of lets me carry it for whatever reason. You can
Well, I engage
draw your own
him. You've got to
conclusions.
be engaged.
I engage him plenty.
No, you got to have good, insightful
We talked hockey.
stuff.
We talked his...
He doesn't like talking hockey.
not current hockey when he was growing up.
I didn't like that.
You didn't listen to it either.
He likes talking with me about anything.
No, I don't think so.
We get along great.
So do we.
Well, you just said he didn't have any energy.
It's low energy. He had some, just not enough.
869-1240, as
right
I
now.
said. He's fine. He gets it. He's all good. He probably is listening.
And he probably doesn't care.
Well, that's okay if he doesn't care.
Sure is.
Did you watch? I should never start a sentence like that with you. I was looking forward to watching the Houston-Iowa State game last night, and it did not disappoint until I eventually checked out of it when Houston went up by 11.
I didn't get home till around 8, and then I kind of took it
Well, the
easy
game
from
started at 8. So that would have been a perfect time to tune it in.
there. But I'm saying I kind of took it easy after that because
Well, yeah, is watching a game not taking it easy?
I don't need to watch a game.
There you go. You've just said what everybody's
If I'm
been
not
waiting
taking
for you
it
to
easy-
say. And it's a shame, really.
If I'm taking it easy, I probably am not watching a game.
The Cougars win it at home, although Iowa State's good. I will dare say this. Both of those teams are Final Four caliber.
Iowa State will not get to the
No,
Final
I
Four.
think they are Final Four
No,
caliber.
they aren't because they play well on the road. They're good, but they're so much better at home.
Well, everybody's so much better at home.
Yeah, but they have a distinct
They won it.
advantage.
Let's see. Let me look at Iowa State.
They're going to lose a game they shouldn't in the tournament like they always do.
No, I like that team. I like that team a lot.
That's great.
And you never watch them. So,
yeah, but I know history.
But no,
and
here's
you just
the
pop
thing.
off.
Here's the thing. I actually watch these games.
Yeah, but I actually know who wins tournaments, and Iowa State doesn't.
They lost at Oklahoma. They lost at BYU. They lost at Baylor. And they lost at Houston. None of those are embarrassing losses. They won at Cincinnati. They won at Texas. And they won at TCU. And so that's not bad.
Yeah, they're good. They'll probably be a 2 or 3 seed in the tournament.
What
they've
I'm
got a
telling
shot.
you is that I think they could potentially be better than that.
I
like
believe that you
Houston.
believe it.
In my opinion, those are the 2 best teams in the Big 12 this year.
We had this big conversation, Duda and I.
The 2 of you
not
talking about
yesterday.
basketball.
Not yesterday.
is like me talking about physics.
But none of these teams that never win it are going to win it. They're just not, because they don't.
Well, I don't agree with you.
UConn wins tournaments. KU wins tournaments.
I don't
Duke
agree with
wins
you. I think
tournaments.
some of these teams have a good shot.
They don't.
We'll talk to Jerry Palm about this coming up.
Well,
Thursday.
Jerry Palm
and
is
he'll
gonna...
make you feel. Here's what you'll say to Jerry Palm.
Because Jerry Palm,
Mr. Palm on Tuesday's show, I said I was, and you'll sound like a complete.
No, the interview isn't about me, but ask me a question like
Jerry Palm will.
But ask me a question
you.
Have
you ever
Jerry
palmed
Palm.
the basketball?
Like, ask me a question
you haven't because your hands aren't big enough.
I don't care. Ask me a question I'm Jerry Palm.
I'm talking to you.
Ask me.
No.
Well, my third-degree metric system shows that certainly Iowa State.
So now you're making fun of Jerry Palm.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Max, I want you to play that as we go into the interview.
He wouldn't. We're not here to do that. That's not this show. We make fun of people.
No, when you make fun of a person who's not able to defend
But we make fun of everybody.
Well, but normally they're able to defend themselves.
But I don't really think that.
So if you start mocking Jerry Palm and he's in Indiana.
Well, I have my protractor out, and I believe that, yes.
Now he uses a protractor. You sound like a moron.
I'll remember that when you go against baseball analytics all summer.
No, I don't mind analytics. I think they have a place. Jerry Palm's a bracketologist like anybody else. He's got a
certainly
system.
their number of quad 2 wins.
You can only try that,
and their
you can only try that a couple times.
Victories.
When it's not funny, just give it up.
But I'm saying all the eye tests and the metrics can show you one thing. History will show you another. And until someone unexpected wins one of these tournaments,
well, we always get teams that are unexpected.
No, we don't. Look at over the last 30 years. It's been North Carolina, Villanova, KU, Duke. No one else has Kentucky.
So Villanova's expected?
Haven't they won like 3 or at least 2?
They're expected now.
Yeah, they're in that mix.
Here we go. Are you ready?
30 years.
You're going to sound like a moron.
30. Give me
UConn, Kansas, Baylor. Were they
Baylor,
expected?
I'll give you.
Virginia, were they expected?
They were.
There's 2 of the last 4.
They were a number 1 seed
were
2 years in a row. Yes.
No, they weren't. What if Iowa State's
a number 1 seed 2 years in a row?
Villanova, North Carolina, Villanova, Duke, UConn, Louisville, Kentucky, Connecticut, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Florida, not expected. North Carolina, UConn, Syracuse, Maryland, Michigan State, not expected. Arizona. I mean, there's all kinds of unexpected.
There's 2 or 3 in 30 years.
This year, it will be an unexpected
It
team.
will not. It'll be Duke, UConn, Arizona.
It won't be Duke.
North Carolina, Kansas, or UConn.
It will not be. It could be UConn. It won't be Duke. It won't be Arizona. It will be the final 4 teams right now. Write yours down.
Okay.
Because you'll have.
I got them in my brain.
Kansas and you'll sound like a.
Well, San Diego State made the title game last year, but what happened? Lost.
And Florida Atlantic made the Final 4.
Right. Teams make the Final 4, but they don't win
my Final 4 for this year. Are you ready?
Sure.
Because this one's going to blow your mind.
Well, you can have it, and when you fill out a bracket and it's the same suspects and you lose all your money, don't come crying to me.
UConn.
Oh, you're really out on a limb with that one.
Iowa State.
Iowa State.
And as my 4th team in, I'm going to pick. Boy, that's a tough one. I'm going to pick St. Mary's.
All right.
As my dark horse.
I don't care about St. Mary's.
UConn, Houston,
I don't
Iowa
care about
State, St. Mary's.
Listen, you're going to want to hear this.
That's a great Final 4.
Right. I don't care about St. Mary's. I don't care about Houston. I don't care about UConn. If Iowa State gets to the Final 4, I'll eat anything you want.
All right, Max, you heard it.
And that's a guarantee.
You heard it, Max.
Exclamation point on that one.
Well, you get a dead skunk in the middle of the road.
I'll eat something that's edible.
No, dead skunk.
I'd prefer not to die, so no, I'm not going to do that.
Max, write that one down because that one's That's what I'm going with.
It's big.
I like Iowa State. I've liked them all year.
And I watch plenty of games. I watch KU.
You don't watch.
But I'm not going to watch Iowa State and Houston.
Well, I don't get that. That's
I have
about the top 16.
I have no investment in that game whatsoever.
It's fun to watch. Good. That's like saying, I'm not going to watch the World Series because my team's not
But
playing.
I have an investment in baseball.
Well, I have an investment in college basketball.
Okay, that's great.
Because I like watching good teams. I don't like watching
But you're not going to watch
games. I'm going to invest in that game.
But if the Celtics and Nuggets were playing tonight, you might
don't care.
Exactly.
Don't
want
care
to watch
about the NBA.
You don't want to watch great
and they
basketball.
gave us another reason not to care Sunday. It's a joke. The NBA's become a joke.
Why?
211 to 186. Really?
Okay, well they play flag football in the Pro Bowl.
What's the purpose?
There is no purpose.
Do they charge money to go?
Just like there's no purpose for any All-Star game.
Do they charge money to go?
I don't know. I've never been.
But do they?
I don't know for sure.
So you're defending that atrocity?
What? Just like I would. I don't care. It's like that's not indicative.
Are you defending it?
If you want an All-Star game to be representative of the game that is played night in and night out, then you're barking up the wrong tree.
Is baseball that way?
Yeah, but it's impossible not to be.
Why don't they just have a pitching machine in baseball? Not worry about arms.
Well, maybe they should.
No, they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't.
Well, there's nothing on the line, so what's the point?
The Major League Baseball All-Star game has meaning.
No, it doesn't.
Those teams are trying to beat each other.
They're just playing
When
the game.
they go to bat, they're trying to hit the ball out of the park. When they're pitching, they're trying to make sure they get out.
Or they'll groove
when they're
one.
Playing defense, they're trying to make great plays.
Or they'll groove one to whatever player's retiring
one.
that year.
Nobody
like
grooves
they did with
one.
Ripken and
Why don't you just go ahead and criticize your beloved NBA?
Because there's nothing to criticize. Oh, they put the ball in the basket too much.
Did you watch that game?
No, I'm not going to watch an All-Star game because I know this is going to be.
Well, you see that every night with the Indiana Pacers.
I know this is going to be.
They don't play defense anytime.
Oh, my goodness. There's too much scoring. What else do we complain about?
They don't even try guarding anybody.
The Pacers
Carl
do
Anthony
fine.
Towns scored 50 points. He played 25 minutes or something, and he took 35 shots.
Yeah,
and he shot it.
They're getting up and down in the All-Star game.
They're giving him – what is that? Why?
Because nobody cares of the outcome, of the score.
Then why are people so critical of it?
Because they're idiots.
So if you're a paying customer –
Did you watch the skills competition?
No, couldn't care less.
I thought that was fun.
Couldn't care less.
Pacers won.
I don't get into the NBA. And because you're into it so much, I'm getting out of it.
You know what? You can get out of it. It was a nice, and I'm not ever saying I'm leaving the Pacers because I'm not.
No, you are.
I will never.
You will.
I never will.
Oh, you absolutely will.
But I am so locked
Let
in
me
on
tell you.
baseball right now that it's not even funny.
There are few guarantees in life, and I wish Duda was here right now.
You can say whatever you want.
You will not be with the Pacers in heart and spirit. You may say it on this show. But in heart, you're already backing off.
No, I'm not.
I'm so into baseball.
I am. What about
if you were truly into the Pacers?
A lifelong love and commitment would trump
Where's
that.
Duda? Oh, I can't wait for Duda because this is so you.
No, it's not. It's going to be harder for me during baseball season to keep up with the Pacers like I have been for the first two-thirds of their season.
It's not even baseball season yet, and you're backing off.
I'm not backing off.
You just said I am so into.
You know how
we
much
haven't even
more
had a spring training game, and you're like, well,
there's news coming out. They're reporting.
What news is coming out?
Every day there's news.
Give me a bit of news about the Guardians.
Every day there's news.
Give me a
Heard
snippet.
today that Kyle Manzardo was taking reps with the starting infield, so that's big.
And that trumps the regular season efforts of the Indiana
Unfortunately, or fortunately, yes, it does.
Oh, this is so predictable.
Why?
This is so predictable.
Okay, I'll ask you. On September 12th or whatever, the Raiders are playing. I mean, it's impossible to compare because it's not spring training.
It's not.
But what do you care about more?
It's not even
the reports out of Bradenton or wherever you guys.
There's no line to be drawn.
But what do you
never
care about
profess
more?
That I'm just I'm just in.
So you just wasted 8 years of your life.
No, I was a Raiders fan.
Okay,
But
well, what
nothing
did you
like the Cardinals.
what did you care about more?
Well, it depends on if the Cardinals are in
Reports
the
out of Jupiter, Florida, or the Raiders playing in the Super Bowl. Which would you truly care about more?
Well, I'd care about the Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah. Over spring training?
That's insane.
Of course I would.
I don't even think you believe that.
Of course I would. And for you to now back off, I didn't get on this show and just profess my undying love.
Nor have I, but I
I'm
watch
going to watch
almost
every game.
I pretty much have.
Well, not now, apparently. Apparently, you're backing
all I
off.
said was it's going to
When's
be
their next
tougher.
game?
Thursday.
Who do they play?
I don't know.
You don't even know.
Nor do I know the second series of the year for the Guardians. I only know that they're opening in Oakland because I've
this
because
is one
I've
of
heard
those
it.
times I wish Duda was listening
Well,
and would
Duda
call
has
in.
nothing to say because
he'd have a lot to say about
you're
this.
such a just gaslighter and just
I am?
yes.
Wanting Duda to call?
There's no your argument is not based in any
It's
fact.
based on complete
It's
fact.
straight emotion, and you're trying to poke holes at.
So who are your final four teams now that you're no longer into the NBA? Who do you have?
I'm not into the NBA.
That's what I've heard. Go ahead. Who
Well,
are your
you've heard
final
wrong.
four teams?
Virginia, Baylor, Michigan State, and
Michigan State.
and who was the other unexpected one you listed? Syracuse.
No, really. Who are your final four?
I don't know.
See, you said you had them off the top of your head.
No, but I know those aren't going to be the final four teams. Someone unexpected is going to slip through. But the winner of the tournament will be a team that, oh, wow, nobody's shocked.
I don't know about that. I look forward to seeing how many of my four. I'm going to write this down. What's the date? February 20th. And I have the right to change it on March 1 and also on Selection Sunday.
Really?
Yep.
You can change it twice?
I can change it twice.
Based on what?
Based on if I change my mind. So my early Final Four on February 20th, for those of you who want to write it down, listen, I have a great track record in this stuff. UConn, Houston, Iowa State, St. Mary's.
Why St. Mary's?
They haven't lost in a year.
Okay, well, they play in the West Coast Conference.
Yeah, with Gonzaga.
Who isn't that good this year?
St. Mary's has how many games have they won in a row? They did lose to Missouri State. But since then, they've won 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games in a row. They beat Gonzaga. They beat Santa Clara. They beat San Francisco. They're pretty good. They just put up 103 on Pepperdine. Their losses were early. They started pretty slowly. They beat New Mexico in their opener, lost to Weber State, San Diego State, Xavier, Utah, and Boise State. They were, at one point this year, they were 3-5.
Is this even a team that
Now
gets
they're
in the
21-6.
tournament? 7 losses?
3-5 to 21-6. Randy Bennett's a remarkable coach. They got it going on.
Yeah, St. Mary's is fine.
Well, he's been there a long time. Here's what we have on the show today. Taylor Eldrige, Wichita Eagle, joins us at 2:25. I don't know what to think of the Shockers, but we'll get Taylor's latest thoughts. Wichita State at home tomorrow against Tulsa. Then they have Temple coming in over the weekend. They have one more road trip. They have a road trip and then a home game and then I don't know. They finished the season at Tulane, playing an 8:00 game on Friday night.
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't get that.
I don't really either. I can't explain it.
But they have Tulsa, Temple,
UAB,
Rice at home, and at Tulane. So they should go 3-2, but
At
whether they
least.
do or not, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully.
Tulsa's much better. That one's up for grabs.
Are they?
In my opinion, yeah, they're not bad. Tulsa's not bad.
What's their record in the conference right now?
I don't care. You're going to ask me that question?
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Because
know.
I don't know that they aren't bad.
They're not bad. Can we at least establish that I'm the college basketball guy?
But your definitions of some of these words really irks me sometimes.
Tulsa's 13-12, 4-9 in the conference.
They're bad.
They're not great, but they beat Wichita State earlier.
Everybody beat Wichita State earlier.
They lost 4 in a row after that win, but those were to Florida Atlantic, North Texas, UAB, and South Florida. All of those teams are good, and Tulsa's not yet at their level. But Tulsa is at Wichita State's level, and that game's being played at Koch Arena tomorrow night, 8 o'clock tip. I was very impressed by Charlotte.
Charlotte looked good.
Did you watch that ball game?
Yeah, I don't know if I was impressed.
Did you watch that ball
Yes,
game?
I watched the game.
I'm going to need verification. Can you have your wife call in?
I don't think she cares what I do.
But can she call in to verify that at 11 o'clock Sunday morning you were watching that
What else
ball?
was I going to be doing?
I don't know. But were you what happened?
They lost.
Now take me through the ebb and flow of the game.
Wichita State started slow. They were down double
you
digits.
could have read that.
Double digits early. It seemed like they were down double digits for most of the game.
All right. On that note, we'll take a break. Taylor Eldrige from the Wichita Eagle will join us. We'll have a game earlier than normal today at 2:45. In hour number 2, we'll talk to Maize South boys coach Joe Jackson. Senior night for Maize South tonight. They're hosting campus with a chance to go to 19-0 for the Maize South Mavericks. Back in a minute.
Your fever is high and the pressure to log in at work is too. But when you finally decide to take care of you, there's Instacart. Just because that one perfect coworker of yours is attending all meetings, camera on while she's sneezing, coughing, and aching, doesn't mean you have to do the same. Take it from us. Trying to stay on top of things will only get you further behind. Instead, get everything from tissues and teas to cough suppressants and comforting soups delivered through Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes. If anyone needs anything, they can just redirect their questions to that one perfect coworker of yours.
How powerful is Cox Internet? Powerful enough to let your band members in Vegas, Phoenix, and Rhode Island jam like you're all in the same garage. Get Cox Internet powered by fiber with America's fastest download speeds. It's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, always building better. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial connection. Speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms and other restrictions may apply. Analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data. Fixed median download speeds. US Q3 2023.
I'm Glennon Doyle, author of Untamed and host of the podcast We Can Do Hard Things. On We Can Do Hard Things, my wife Abby, my sister Amanda, and I talk honestly about the hard parts of life. Join us and guests like Michelle Obama, Tracy Ellis Ross, and Brene Brown as we have refreshingly honest conversations. New episodes are out every Tuesday and Thursday, so listen to and follow We Can Do Hard Things, an Odyssey podcast, available now for free on the Odyssey app and everywhere you get your podcasts.
KFH.
Taylor Eldridge with us. Taylor, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me back on.
Well, we talked to the higher ups and they said go ahead and do it. So here you are.
I appreciate it.
We talked to you. We talked to you fairly recently about the Shockers, and I don't know what can be added to our state of confusion, but still, this team is not showing us a whole lot, and I don't know what to think about it. I thought the game the other day at Charlotte, they lacked energy at the start, and then kind of wove their way into that game a little bit. Played with a little more effort and energy, but they weren't going to come back after digging that deep of a hole. There's just such a fine line for this basketball team, and they've really not been able to figure that out all season, have they?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the pieces that they're working with, just not a lot of, not a high margin for error. They're just trying to thread the needle, and because of the lack of shooting, they're just playing, a different game than a lot of teams because, the floor has shrunk for them so much because, defenses don't have to pay attention to really anybody other than Colby Rogers on the perimeter. So that's really makes life difficult for them. And then when you throw in the unforced turnovers and the missed free throws, like that stuff is just killer. So, yeah, I mean, they're definitely better than their record, more talent than their record. But, yeah, I mean, when you do when you come up short and, unforced errors, so often, it's not going to lead itself to very many wins. So, the schedule down the stretch, they could turn this thing around. They play 4 of the bottom, I think 5 or 6 teams, 3 of them at home. So, there is a glimmer of hope, to get some momentum before conference tournament. But at this point, it's hard to imagine this team, winning 4 games in 4 days or the impossible 5 in 5 days at the conference tournament.
So I was on with Duda yesterday, and we were just talking about it. And I know that Bijan Cortez is on the team, and he's starting, but they basically went through a recruiting cycle and did not end up with a point guard. They offered several transfers and went through the portal and everything like that. And again, I know they have T.J. Williams coming in, but is it possible that they won't solve this problem going into next year? I mean, could they strike out again?
It's tough to know. It's, a lot of the recruiting isn't done until the transfer portal season. So you just have to wait and see, what opportunities come up. A lot of that stuff we won't find out until after the season. So it'll be interesting to me to see, what this coaching staff does. And some of that's obviously out of their control. Players can obviously, leave in the portal if they like. But just to see how much roster turnover there is, because a lot of these guys can come back. Jacob Germany, who's not in the rotation, Dalen Original, they're the 2 that are for sure gone. No more eligibility, but everybody else can come back. So how much roster turnover happens with this team, that's going to be something interesting to monitor to see if WSU tries to run it back with this group and just rely on, that experience is going to help them turn the corner. Because you look at the 2-11 record is obviously, pretty unimaginable for WSU fans. But, I think 7 of those losses, they've been in one possession games, the last 3 minutes. So they're last 3 or 4 minutes. So they're not far away. But, from the days of, getting to NCAA tournaments and, at large bids and competing for championships, those days are, they feel like a long distant memory at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this roster at the end of the season for sure.
Talking with Taylor Eldrige from the Wichita Eagle, you mentioned it, really only 2 players that we know won't be back next year, everybody else with eligibility. How do you walk that tightrope if you're Paul Mills and you have this kind of – how does that function with this many players who could return? The transfer portal is available for players to come in and go out. How has the transfer portal changed the way coaches approach their rosters? That's way too general of a question, but you know what I'm getting at. How ruthless can a coach be?
Yeah, it's something that I'd be curious to ask Paul Mills about, because when he was building Oral Roberts, the transfer portal was a thing, but it wasn't as prominent as it is today. And, NIL has obviously changed the game as well. So, how much do those 2 things impact how you can build a roster? Because, if this was 6-7 years ago, you could say, okay, we have a roster. A lot of these guys will be back next year. Well, in 2024, that's just not anywhere close to a certainty. Even if you want all these guys back, some of them could leave for other opportunities, if they're not satisfied in Wichita. But I think the big part for WSU, I think they have players who can contribute to winning, but right now, their roles, they're overextended in their roles. I think Xavier Bell could be a really nice piece for a team, but when you're asking him to do this much, then he gets overstretched. Harlan Beverly, the same thing. Colby Rogers, this is one of the best 3-point shooters in the conference, but because he literally has no one else to space the floor with them, every time he comes off a ball screen, he's looking at 3-4 defenders and has no spacing, no real playmaker to, they just very rarely are able to get him catch and shoot looks, off of screens and stuff like that. So, he could be really good. Quincy Ballard could be dominant, I think, if you had a point guard and spacing, or a point guard to find him on lobs, and roles and the spacing to improve that. So I think they have pieces, but yeah, you're going to have to bring in. I think if they're going to turn the corner next year and be much more competitive and start winning games, you're definitely going to have to bring in some different pieces. And then the question is, okay, do those guys, Harlan Beverly, Xavier Bell, Kenny Poto, guys like that, do they accept, different roles next season? So it's definitely a complicated thing, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think I would expect WSU to be active in the portal, but we'll just have to see, after the season, just how active they'll be, depending on how many players, potentially leave, and then just what's available in the portal too.
So how badly do you think the American needs anybody but Florida Atlantic to win the conference tournament? And, Florida Atlantic hasn't come in and been this powerhouse that we expected, but it seems like they're still holding on to an at-large bid, maybe barely. But I don't know that Charlotte is or South Florida. These teams are ranked in the 100s in KenPom. SMU's kind of high up there, but I'm not really sure about their resume. Is it a two-bid league, just if any chance Florida Atlantic doesn't win it?
Yeah, I think it just depends on how this final stretch, 5 games left. FAU has a pretty challenging schedule. They play SMU, Memphis, North Texas, I think Memphis again. So, those are 4, the better teams in the conference. So, if they take 2 or 3 more losses, that at-large bid suddenly becomes, a lot tighter. And maybe it does become a one-bid league. It feels like this happens almost every year, with the American, where they come in, they're hoping for 3, and then they feel you start a conference play, okay, we got 2, and then they just, kind of cannibalize each other and knock each other down, and then at the very end it becomes a 1 or 2 bid league. So that's what it's looking like right now. South Florida and Charlotte are, in conference play. They have proven themselves to be the 2 best teams in this conference. So it's pretty interesting to see because, no one saw this coming from either of those 2 squads. And I think, going forward, I think if the American wants to win, you need someone other than Florida Atlantic. But it's not like they can mess around and lose in the first round. I think you almost have to, get them to Sunday, get them to that championship game, and then have, Charlotte, South Florida, Memphis, whoever win that championship game to get 2 in. But, yeah, it's they thought they could get, 3, maybe 4 in at the start of the season, and now it's looking like, 1 for sure, and then 2 maybe if there's a different conference tournament champion.
Taylor Eldrige with us. I want to ask you about baseball in a minute, but I was curious to see the comments from Rick Pitino that he's never had a less enjoyable season coaching. Penny Hardaway, who's beside himself that he can't get his players at Memphis to compete harder, stronger. Is this a concern across college basketball, or are these isolated cases?
Man, I think it's you look at the increase in the transfer portal, and those teams are 2 teams that were thrown together in the portal, and I think that's kind of the risk that you run if you're trying to make it work for one season. And Wichita State's kind of a blend. They have a handful of returners back from the program last season. Then you mix in some transfers, but I think that's the concern for coaches everywhere. Is that kind of what we were talking about earlier? The team building aspect has changed so much in college basketball. Gone are the days where you could rely on bringing in a good freshman class and then just building them up through the years, and then sprinkling in maybe you get a grad transfer 1 year or a JUCO guy. Now it's you're bringing in 4, 5, 6 portal guys every year. It's hard to get those guys to come together, hard to get the chemistry going. So I think that is a concern across the country with just how teams are being built in modern day college basketball now.
Final moments here with Taylor Eldrige. I do want to talk a little bit about baseball. They went to Little Rock, knocked the cover off the ball, scored 36 runs in those 3 games. They have 7 guys with an OPS over 1,000. after those 3 games. They're in Jacksonville, Florida this week to play Virginia, Auburn, and Iowa. Virginia and Iowa both ranked in the top 20. This will be an interesting early season test for them, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think WSU, they go into this thinking they have nothing to lose. They're going to be the underdog in all 3 of those games, and if they get just one win, that would be a nice. It's kind of like Shocker softball last weekend. They went into a very similar tournament against nationally ranked teams. They came away with 1 win, and they felt great about it. So I think baseball is kind of in the same situation. Obviously that opening series was very encouraging. For the Brian Green era to start with, to win 32-5, the first 2 days, and they almost had that third one for the sweep. But I think they're going into it with the same mindset where they're the underdogs. We can play loose, play free, and let's see what happens. So I think if they just come away with a win from that, they'll be feeling good.
Taylor, we appreciate it. You're on the golf course today. This is the day you should be out there.
No golf. We're going the rest of the week, though. Don't worry. We'll be out there.
There you go. Thank you, Taylor.
All right. Thank you.
I have a question for you. No, I don't want to ask it.
No, go ahead. If this makes me mad.
I'm not going to ask it. I'll ask.
No, will it make me mad?
Probably.
What's it about?
League 42, sort of.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask it.
No. Make that step.
I don't want you to yell at me.
What's it involve about League 42?
Okay, that USA Today article printed your salary. How did you feel about that?
Don't mind.
Okay.
It's public. We're a nonprofit. It's public knowledge.
I know.
Why? What was your reaction?
I was like, wow.
Did I make that much?
Kinda, yeah. I didn't know.
I hardly make anything.
You make more than I do at Channel 12.
I got a tougher job than you do.
I got to piece together 3 or 4 jobs to.
Do you understand? No. Let's not get crazy here. Do you know what most people with my job
I know
title,
it's probably lower than a lot.
Executive director of a nonprofit.
6 figures?
Yes. I'm not even halfway to a 6-figure.
I get it.
So don't be leaving the impression.
Are you still allowed to get Social Security benefits?
Of course I am.
All right. Well, I won't alert anybody.
What do you mean don't alert anybody? I'm 60, almost 69 years old.
Well, you're making millions, for crying out loud.
Why do you care?
I don't. All right, I'm uncomfortable.
No, this was obviously on your mind.
No, I just...
You're actually grilling me now about my salary.
No, I was just curious.
You know I did League 42 for 4 years without a salary.
I was just
Wait a minute. Do you know that?
No.
And the board said, we got to pay you. This isn't right. And I reluctantly agreed. And that's what happened.
I don't care. I was just curious.
You've made a big deal of it.
I make big deals of things that I'm curious about, but it doesn't mean that I.
Would I ever ask you about your salary?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
I told you the starting.
Yeah, you told me.
But you would have been. I'm sure you asked.
No, I don't. I don't ask
when I was
what
starting
they
a
make.
job. But you're my dad. I don't care. What are you going to do? Disown me?
I don't care what you make.
It's about that.
What do you mean?
About what you make. That's about what I make at Channel 2. I think it might be the same.
You're listen, I'm severely underpaid if that's
well, I feel like it too, but what are you going to do?
I don't do this to make money. All right, Max. It is
time to play the game.
On that note,
you glad we had that conversation?
No, that was a terrible thing.
I told you I didn't want to ask it.
It just amazes me where you go sometimes.
I'm a curious person, sort of.
Well, you saw the number.
Yeah, so I was just wanted your reaction.
Don't care.
Okay,
What's
then I
the
don't.
game?
Then I don't care. I've got Cardinals players, and I'm going to give you 2 of their categories. You're going to have to add them up and tell me what you think the total is. And they're not going to be the conventional categories.
Well, I don't know how I'll do it this.
Oh, we'll say you got to get within 100.
Well, let's go. What's the question?
Stan Musial, steals plus strikeouts.
Steals plus strikeouts.
Yeah. For Stan the man.
And he played 20 years.
22 years, I believe.
So he probably struck out in the neighborhood of 1,200 times because he didn't strike out very often. He probably stole 100 bases. I'll say 1,300.
774.
What? He struck out fewer times than I thought.
78 steals, 696 strikeouts.
That's amazing.
Isn't that crazy? It's like 35
He put the bat on the ball.
Yeah, well,
That's
guys
what
were
we did
throwing
in those
68,
days.
but guys were throwing 68 to 72
that's
miles.
wrong.
They weren't throwing that hard.
They were throwing hard.
I don't think the
it's all relative to your era.
I think the progress of the human reaction time has gone slower than the progress of how fast a human can throw a baseball.
No, I don't know about that. Next.
Ozzie Smith. Errors plus doubles.
Errors plus doubles.
Yeah.
And he played how long?
About 20 years.
Well, no, how long did he play?
I have to go through. I mean, you know about how long he played.
He played about
2
17
decades.
years. So I'll say doubles. He had about 370 doubles, maybe
He's a
more.
19-year player.
300. I'll give him 400 doubles and 100 errors. 500.
You were so close on doubles. 402. 281 errors.
No, not Ozzie Smith.
In 19 years? I mean, he got to every ball.
Yeah, 10 errors a year. That's what I said. I said 200 errors.
Yeah, it's a little more. It's 281.
Next.
Albert Pujols. I'll give you a hint on this one. Grounded into double plays, plus hit by pitch. And he's the all-time leader in grounded into double plays.
Batted a lot, and he's not very
slow.
fast. He grounded into, in 22 years, he probably grounded into 300 double plays and was probably hit by pitch 100 times. 400.
You're so close on some of these. 123 hit by pitches, but 426 double play balls.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy could not get down the line particularly
We'll take it. You
quick.
know that?
Yeah, I know.
Well, they're not. You know what they're not going to talk about when Albert's the first ballot?
Not going to say that on his plaque.
He's not going to get up and talk about, man, those double plays I hit into.
All-time leader in.
I mean, they're not. Nobody's going to bring it up.
Well, maybe.
No, nobody will ever talk with Albert Pujols about that for the rest of his life.
I mean, you would hope not. But it's hard.
And if they did, you know what he'd be justified in doing?
Punching him?
Punching him in the mouth.
You love the thought of people
I do like the idea of him
punched.
punching someone.
No, just anybody getting punched. There's something unresolved with you. Did you get punched yourself?
I punched.
Yadier Molina. Sack bunts, caught stealing.
Sack bunts. They used to bunt. He used to bunt more in the day. Probably 30 sack bunts. And probably, he didn't steal that many times. Probably 25. I'd say in the neighborhood of 60.
43 caught sacrifice bunts. 37 caught stealing.
80.
80.
Yeah, I should have gone up a little bit. Next.
I don't like this one. I'm going to skip it.
No, go for it.
Okay.
How much do I make? Is that the next one?
Yeah.
I mean, how dare you on
I didn't
public
ask,
radio?
Well, you said it was public information. Home runs for Ted Simmons, plus
as a Cardinal or all his
all
career.
Time. Plus, you have to add up his MVP finishes. So if he finished 10th,
that's the dumbest.
I know. I told you it was dumb, but you wanted it. So if he finished 10th, that's 10.
He was in the MVP discussion probably 6 or 7 times. He probably got votes that often. Never was a top 3, I don't believe. So I'll give him 40 points for that. And then I'll give him 300 homers, so 340.
Very close, 335.
Well, there you go.
248 homers, 87 if you add up his MVP finish.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah, it doesn't matter how you get there.
No.
Bob Gibson.
I'll know everything about it.
Hit batters.
I know it.
Plus wild pitches.
Hit batters plus wild pitches. Well, he was he was wild early in his career. And he pitched for a long time.
For a long time.
So, wild pitches, let's say he pitched for 17 years, probably had average 10 a year, maybe more. I'll go with 200 there, and I'll go with hit by batters. He didn't hit that many guys. I'll go with 10 a year there. I'll say it right around 400.
He only hit 102 guys, and he only threw 108 wild pitches.
Well, there you go.
210.
Wow.
I know.
I was thinking of the other night, you say you can find anybody. Get Larry Jaster on this show.
All right.
Former Cardinal. Because you know what he did in 1960.
Yeah, we've all heard it.
No. Tell me what he did.
Something about the Dodgers.
Tell me what he did.
Threw 2 games against the
pitched
Dodgers.
5 shutouts in one season against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, that's right.
Who, by the way, won the National League pennant that year. No, not like they were a bunch
Jaster still alive?
Hold on. Yes, he's 80. From Carmel, Indiana.
We'll find him.
Here's the thing about that. It's unbelievable. It truly is. He beat Claude Osteen twice. He beat Don Drysdale twice. And he didn't beat Koufax. He never met, but he beat Don Sutton the other time. So you're talking about Drysdale and Sutton, Hall of Fame pitchers. Claude Osteen, not that far off.
Good pitcher.
From being a Hall of Fame pitcher.
Household name.
And Larry Jaster, 5 times in his 5 starts. And by the way, they were all complete games.
Well, that's what a shutout is.
Right. But that's remarkable. There's nothing in baseball, in my opinion, that even approaches that.
Well, we're going to get Larry on.
He should be a household name. We should be talking about him every year because that's just incredible. And if a Guardian had done that, you wouldn't know what to do.
I think a Guardian has done that.
No, 5 shutouts.
I got it.
Against the same team.
Yeah, I know. And a mound that was 12 feet off the ground. Adam Wainwright.
Jeff, you sound like a moron when you talk. Seriously, that's just the dumbest thing.
Adam Wainwright.
What about him?
Complete games plus strikeouts per 9 innings.
Strikeout per 9 innings, he'd be right around 8. Complete games in his career, he'd probably be in the 15 years, 4 per 3, in the 45 range, 53.
35.
I don't believe it.
0.4. 28 complete games, 7.4.
I don't believe it.
Here's a tough one for you.
Well, give me Larry Jaster.
I don't have a Larry Jaster. Shutouts against the Dodgers.
Right.
Plus times you've talked about it.
45.
73,000.
Why do you think I talk about it as much as I do? And I haven't talked about it in a long time.
I know, but it was funny.
What'd you say?
Plus times you've talked about it.
How many times have I talked about it?
So he's 72,000.
No, how many
995.
How many times have I talked about it?
Enough.
When's the last time you think I mentioned Larry Jaster?
I don't know.
Probably 10 years ago.
No, you've mentioned him on this show at least 3 times. So every 3 years, every 2.5 years.
I went back and looked at every box score of those 5 games. And Larry Jaster didn't do a whole lot after that season.
Right.
He was a good pitcher. But he was a great I don't know, it just blows my mind. I don't know why you can't revel in that with me for a moment.
I think it's great. And we'll get, as I said, I'll find Larry.
And then you'll be like, Mr. Jaster, what you did is so unbelievable. And you'll change your tune.
I love baseball.
Yeah, and then I'll have to tell him, Larry, when we were talking about this the other day, Jeff mocked it.
Jeff made fun of
you pitched from 16 feet away.
12 feet in the air is what I said.
Next.
Rogers Hornsby. WAR plus on-base percentage.
Well, his on-base percentage was sky high over his career, over 400. I'll give him 410, and WAR I'll give 130. So 540.
Pretty close, 554.
How about that?
127 WAR, 427 on base.
How good was that?
pretty solid.
We got one more.
Oh, there's so. What should I do? Which one? I'll just give you the players. You can tell me which one you want. Carpenter, Chris Carpenter, Jim Edmonds, Lou Brock, Willie McGee, Ray Langford, Enos Slaughter, or Dizzy Dean.
Well, let's go Lou Brock.
Lou Brock, home runs plus caught stealing.
Home runs for Lou Brock. Had some power. I guess in the 170 range for lifetime home runs, maybe more. Caught stealing. He tried to steal a lot, so he's probably caught. He's probably caught 200 times. What I say for home runs?
170-ish.
I'll say 390.
Caught stealing 307.
What?
Home runs 149.
I don't believe you.
For a total of 456.
Well, I was close.
Yeah,
390.
You represented yourself well in that game.
All right, there you go. We'll take a break. This is the Bob and Jeff Show, a Tuesday edition, KFH.
Why?
Why?
If you have T-Mobile 5G home internet, you might be hearing this
Why?
a lot.
Why?
Every time your internet slows down during the busiest hours.
Why?
Why?
Because your network gives priority to cell phone users.
Why?
Good question. Why not switch to Cox Internet with 2 times faster download speeds than T-Mobile 5G home internet during peak hours?
Okay.
Stop the whys and visit cox.com/5G home for details. T-Mobile prioritizes certain T-Mobile phone users over home internet users during times of congestion.
Odyssey celebrates Black History Month this February on the free Odyssey app with the music celebrating the best black artists. Download the free Odyssey app and search Black Icons to listen to the ultimate in black excellence. John Coltrane, Aretha Franklin, Prince, Beyonce, and more. Or listen to live stations from across the U.S. representing communities celebrating the culture this month and all year long. It's all on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. Download it today.